Welcome to Pulp Kitchen, to our first episode. Thanks for joining us. Because it's our first episode, though, we did forget to record an introduction, so that's what we're doing now.
So we actually recorded our episode 2 days ago, but we forgot to say who we were, what the show is, introduce it, and say goodbye.
So we're going to quickly do that now.
So
the show is Pulp Kitchen. It's eating food and it's talking film. What have we missed in the past year? It's hanging out with each other, enjoying some good dinner, and seeing films together.
Basically, every single Tuesday, George is going to come over, we're going to make some food, and then basically just talk about what we've seen that week, have a good time, play a bit of the game.
News, reviews, and always a game. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the episode, and thank you for joining us again. James, it's cold.
It is.
It's autumn.
It's over. Summer's over.
What's cooking?
Fish tacos.
Oh, I've never had fish tacos.
You never had fish tacos? Colourful, zesty, punchy. I do worry about your energy levels when you come back from work, you know? So today, fish tacos. I thought it's our first one. I wanted something punchy, zesty.
To remind me again, we got guacamole, homemade.
Homemade guac.
Shop bought salsa, but that's fine. We've got haddock. We've got red cabbage.
With orange zest, orange juice, a bit of red wine vinegar, olive oil. Fish seasoned with cumin, paprika, pinch of cayenne. You've got fresh chili, fresh red onion in the guac with some coriander, lime zest, and the salsa. You'll have to ask M&S who made it because I didn't make it.
All right, here goes. I'm going to take a bite. I'm going to I'm getting that orange zest nicely. I was just thinking about the White Lotus because you finished it. You finished it?
Yeah, finished it.
What did you
Loved
think?
it. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah?
Really, really enjoyed it.
Whole way through?
All the way through. I thought towards the end it ran out of steam and I could predict what was going to happen. But I really liked that it was very rare that we have a limited series that starts and ends in, what was it, like 6 episodes, 5 episodes?
Glorious.
Complete story. I enjoyed it, and I don't have to like wait 3 years for the next season, and it's going to get worse. And there's season 3 wasn't very good, but I'm very refreshed that was it and contained, and I could enjoy it over the course of a week.
The thing I want to really talk about and what I love about it is the theme tune.
Did you not think the music? And there's that horrible sexual, like, I'm so sorry, but there is. It's this really, like, primal, Every time I watch it, I was running around the front, like,
It's stressful. It's quite like anxiety-inducing music, and they play it so much throughout and it's got the, like, But what I love about that, not only is it just a fat beat, and I will listen to it as a song on its own, in the way I'll listen to like the Succession sound theme tune.
Oh yeah, sure.
But like that White Lotus theme so accurately,
distinctive, original.
But it so accurately distills what that show is, like in a second. And I think that is such a rare thing. And obviously, the more you watch a show, the more you associate that theme tune with the show. So you're going to think that. But I knew from because there's no cold opens in any of those episodes. That's why I found it interesting. It goes straight into the title credits, and even in the first episode,
that sets the tone every time.
Yeah, and I thought that perfect. I was like, that music, I know exactly what this show is doing. Isn't that great? That kind of skill.
I think it's great, and then it's sort of shots of that slightly tacky but semi-premium hotel wallpaper, and there's little weird things in the wallpaper. You're like, what is that? You know the whole storyline with his balls, and then you see like the fruit that are clearly meant to be balls, and then the sailors, and that becomes a thing later. But like, we've obviously started with a negative, but overall, no, really enjoyed it.
Yeah. What I love is that it's simultaneously quite deep and got like, layers of about social commentary, about like money and about colonialism.
Endless to pick from that,
endless things there, but also at the same time it's a little bit trashy, which I love. It's a little bit like,
Nouveau Riche, just like
Jennifer Coolidge just crying and crazy, and somebody like, shitting somewhere where they shouldn't, and there's like debauchery. And I was like, that's a nice balance there.
Kind of what I thought, I mentioned it earlier, but what I thought was why it was so mesmerizing and gripping from the get-go is that you're presented with a load of characters who in a lot of ways are archetypes of so many different characters. And even in the very first scene, you can go, I know who that is, and I know who that person is, and what angle they're coming from. And I thought what was so successful about it is there is no villain, but the horrible thing about it is that all of them are so horrifyingly familiar. And you go in with your own expectations of all of these people, and you're like, I see tenets of those people in so many people I've met or encountered, and I can just place. Oh, that's my phone going. And I can just place loads of different things of different people, and I'm like, oh, it's just like really familiar in a horrible way, and that's what made it so gripping.
I think what it captures about hospitality in particular.
Yeah, of course.
Because really, there's so many like things happening, but I feel like the central feud is between Jake Lacey's character and Armand.
It's fantastic,
fantastic dynamic, and that reminds me of, like, what I think it captures about hospitality is it's almost like a Chinese finger trap. And that hospitality, when it's running smoothly, when it's going in the right direction, everything's as
invisible.
supposed to. It's invisible. It's perfect. It's beautiful. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then the second something doesn't go the way it's supposed to, the second something, the booking of a room might be in question, or something's not available, everything just stops and constricts, and you realize how artificial and weird, just weird this whole situation is. I mean, Armand is like he's like a human being, and you realize that he's just standing there taking this shit.
He's so much of a he both in looks and in presentation a Basil Fawlty of he really had that wonderful like way of even when he's like, okay sir, I'll get that right for you. He had this wonderful way of being perfectly smiley and polite, but you could see in his eyes he was screaming. He just absolutely despised them. But I think so many people have had, whether you've been to a nice restaurant that's got a very heavy service, or you've been to a hotel and you're just a little bit like, I'm so very aware of how much I'm being pandered to, and if I met this person on the street, it's the most unnatural interaction. But I actually don't think many TV shows or movies have played on that to that extent. But I got real Basil Fawlty vibes from him.
Yeah, that's quite.
He looks a bit
like a black comedy. Basil Fawlty.
Another thing I liked about it was how little some of the characters, like usually you expect a character to start one place and finish another. Even if the characters thought that they moved into a different position in life, they didn't really. I love that they actually didn't grow, and what represents change or charity or understanding from one person's perspective is really actually on their terms. There's this gross idea of the ultra wealthy setting up their own foundations and giving money away on their terms. It's like this organized version of trickle down, and it's really not nice. Whereas like actually just giving money, and not that it's all about money, but this version of them coming to their own resolution of what was right because they managed to tackle the guy who was going to steal their jewelry or something, and they themselves are so happy and rounded because of that. But really, they're actually in the same position they were before they started the show.
Well, basically, like they can't have any meaning in their experience unless they've like won at something. So they can't have a meaningful holiday unless they've conquered the jewel thief that comes in.
Yes.
Right? And
the storyline I found so tragic, and again something very unexplored, is the power dynamic that Jennifer Coolidge and the masseuse had, where it was like this what was to Jennifer Coolidge this very empty promise of I want to do this and this, but to someone else is like a completely life-changing idea, and she wrote the whole business plan, but
you could see that coming.
But
that's the whole point. And you just thought this woman's going to crush this masseuse. And just but great. And Mike White, what an interesting, because he's in School of Rock, right? He is Mr. Schneebly. He's the original Mr. Schneebly. Not Dewey Finn.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And he's written stuff in the past.
Hello, this is Mr. Schneebly.
Hello, this is Mr. Schneebly. Mr. S.
They're doing a second series.
Yeah, because they're going to make it an anthology.
Yeah.
Milk it.
It'll be fine.
Milk it till it's dry.
If it's good.
Yeah, but of course you can. We just get another bunch. We need to get another ensemble cast.
Yeah.
And we just put them into another famous locale.
Would it be called the White? Yeah, it'd be called the White Lotus.
It's a brand of hotels, right, where crazy shit happens.
Yeah.
But when I was talking about the theme tune just now, that's another show that really got that. That really summed it up really clearly was Loki, actually. I mean, it's probably been a while since you watched it, right?
Been a while, but
the
ticking and the dun 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 dun.
Yeah, no, because it's like awful. Don't quote me as that being the Loki.
Some musical impressions will be better than others.
But it's like the awful. But my point is,
I know
it's
what
that
you mean.
really like science fiction. As soon as
Yeah.
that theme tune comes on, you're like, this is nothing to do with Marvel.
No.
I'm thinking sci-fi. I'm thinking. No, not even sci-fi. I'm just thinking science fiction.
The font of all the letters changing,
Yeah,
like
'cause the variants.
spliced variants
Yeah.
and dimensions and different
Different timelines.
versions of
Yeah.
himself all merging to be one thing. I thought it was all
That
good.
show had such a clear like identity,
Mm.
which for a show about lots of different variants, it's really
Yeah.
funny. That show had such a clear identity and such a clear like vision. I really liked it, and I really liked because I liked WandaVision as well.
Yeah.
But WandaVision reverted into being like another Marvel type thing, right, with the showdown and the
Yeah.
fight in the sky. But Loki was just like, no, we're going to have a bunch of talking at the end.
It was essentially the architect scene from The Matrix Reloaded.
Yeah, people have said this, but I think it's harsh. People have also said that, like, oh my god, that guy. What's he
Kang.
do? Yeah, Kang. But what's he? I like Jonathan Majors as an actor, and I actually really enjoyed what he was doing in that scene because he was.
Very weird. He understood more than we could have known.
But
right?
he was like, but I'm like, no, he could. Lots of people are like, oh, he's like he's like a theatre kid,
Yeah.
who's just trying lots of different improvisations to make it sound. And I was like, no, this is someone who's been stuck on his own for like millennia.
Yeah.
Of course, he's got a bit kooky.
It'd be the most exciting thing to have
Yeah,
two versions of the same person walk into a
Exactly.
room and they're asking about what the time split dimension
Yeah.
thing is. Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned Doctor Who. Did you used to watch Doctor Who?
I did, yeah. I watched
Okay.
it all the way until the end of Matt Smith, and then I think I got bored.
Exactly the same. I think I watched one Peter Capaldi and I was like, this is changing in direction and I'm getting older.
And nothing ever happens because it will go on forever, and that was my problem. I was like, I'm not just going to pay attention
But
to this forever.
this is what I thought about when I was watching Loki. And it's obviously hard to say this because Loki has the entire like disposal of Disney behind it. So it's hard to compare the two and say, well, this is what Doctor Who should do. But
Yeah.
really, I think what hampers Doctor Who now in modern age is having each episode as like a isolated thing.
Is that what it's doing at the moment?
That's what it's always done.
Oh, sure,
Remember, each
right,
week,
yeah.
each week is a different problem. Okay, you might get the odd two-part, and obviously they try and weave a storyline
Yeah.
through. But look what happened with Loki. It
It's
was
Monster of the Week, Doctor Who.
Monster of the Week, exactly. Whereas Loki is one continuous story played out across 6 episodes. And I think Doctor Who would be much wiser to double down on one concept
This is the season.
and really invest in it and really get people into that world. Because otherwise, the problem I've had with Doctor Who is it feels quite disposable.
Yeah.
Because,
I don't know why I should tune in.
and also it's actually almost a commercial point. Those creatures are only going to be designed so well because they've only been allocated so much time to design it because they're only going to be in it for one episode.
There are only so many times I can be like, oh, the Daleks
Yeah,
again.
the Daleks,
Yeah, they
yeah.
should go, okay, we've got Peter Capaldi for 3-4 seasons. Let's write a treatment that is that long, that will take his arc, that doesn't end it so we can't take it on into the next.
It's not like people don't want that.
No.
That's exactly what we're used to. Long stories that weave in and out of each other.
Yeah.
We don't need it's too bitty otherwise. So I really that's what struck me. I was like, this is what Doctor Who needs to do. Obviously, it'd be great if it had the same budget and the same resource. I understand that's hard, but actually, if you wrote it, less is more.
We've just been spoilt by the likes of Star Wars and Marvel, where characters are written over decades, not films in years. And we're now getting to this point where other people are giving this much more thought. It may be very much a design by committee, but we look over the fence and go, well, they've got this thing that's lasting through all these years and they're all connected. And that thing I saw reverts back to that thing I saw 5 years ago. And isn't it nice that I remember that? That is spoiling a lot of the very like more just less intense versions of storytelling. And we're sort of like, well, why can't you do that?
When Joker came out, I think it was Robbie Collin from The Telegraph who posed a question to Joaquin Phoenix and said, do you not find it interesting or a problem? I'm paraquoting here. I might get this wrong. Do you not find it interesting or a problem that the only way people take a serious film seriously is if it's somehow connected to a wider, some already established IP, some already established story? So like take Joker, which is really like trying to go out on its own, really trying to be its own identity.
Yeah.
But the only way you could sell an audience on that is because it's about the Joker.
Potentially, yeah. Did Joaquin Phoenix not take that well?
Yeah, I think he said something like, I don't know, I didn't even know how to answer
man.
that. Yeah, I can't do Joaquin
He'd be
Phoenix.
he'd be a nightmare to interview. Like, I just don't really know what he wants. First, he hates being interviewed. Like, I can't even imagine what he'd want to hear.
So does Adam Driver. Adam Driver doesn't like...
I don't even know how to answer that question.
Yeah, I started in the
It's great. I don't even know.
Yeah, but
If you do Adam Driver too much, you sound like Ray Romano.
oh, Ray Romano. Yeah, well, I wanted to get in the car. I had to get the car part.
Adam Driver, like, he doesn't like hearing. He could never like be in an interview and they play a clip of his performance. He doesn't like to
Doesn't
hear
wanna see
it
it.
because I think that happened once on a radio show and they played it to him. He didn't like.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see
and
it.
he left.
Go away.
Yeah.
That was so Ray Romano.
It's so hard because also Adam Driver is like one of the greatest actors of our
fantastic,
generation,
yeah.
and I feel so bad doing that. I hope this doesn't tarnish my opportunities of ever meeting him because that was really on the cards.
You're going to meet him soon.
Yeah, he said that. Adam?
George, we've got some news to talk about. I wanted to just throw some things at you because a lot has happened since we last decided we were going to talk about any of this kind of thing.
What are you talking about? This is all spontaneous.
This is all spontaneous. There's been a bit of drama. I don't know if you know about the drama. And I don't mean like there's been drama on TV. There's drama. So Christopher Nolan, great British filmmaker,
yeah.
has announced what his next film is going to be.
I did.
Right.
This passed me by.
You've not seen it. Okay. Well, you've not seen the film.
I'm worried.
So he's fallen out with Warner Brothers, who have been his publishers for a while.
Why is that?
Publishers, distributors. Because they had a big deal about wanting to release all their films day and date on HBO Max.
Right.
And Nolan wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So he is now partnered with Universal. So
wait, can I just? Is he saying? I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
That he doesn't want it to be released day and date because he believes the films belong on the big screen.
Probably.
Do not belong.
I don't have an exact quote, but I can imagine that.
Did you not
very
call
much
him
in this-
before we did this
yeah,
feature?
I didn't text him and go, "What was that? Give me the scoop."
Go.
But yeah, WB's decision to release movies day and date in theaters and HBO Max. Nolan and a couple of other filmmakers very publicly were like, "I don't want to do."
And they're going to
this."
release them at the same time on both platforms.
And I imagine there
not
was
even a window, not even a theatrical window.
I'm not sure. I think day and date at the same time.
Crikey.
And from what I've heard, there were issues over the release of Tenet in this last year.
Right.
Nolan probably insisting, like, I've gone through the pain of shooting this thing on 70mm.
Yeah.
I want to put it out in cinema. And WB probably like, we're just burning money, not releasing it. So that was probably an issue. Apparently, I like this. Nolan is targeting a smaller $100 million budget for his next film.
Oh,
Isn't that nice?
An indie film.
An indie film. I'd say probably his other films are like 200, 250 mil
yeah.
before marketing. And he's apparently considered that smaller scale compared to his other projects. But apparently Nolan requested, so he shopped around to all the distributors. So HBO, Apple, all of them. And apparently his demands were an equal marketing budget, right? As well as total creative control, 20% of first dollar gross, and a blackout period from which the studio would not release another movie 3 weeks before or 3 weeks after. And then he wanted a 100-day theatrical window. For example, or a bit of context, Shang-Chi that just came out from Marvel had a 45-day theatrical window. So it's like, who wants to back Nolan in the cinema full on?
Wow.
But I'd say if anyone can get bums on seats in the cinema, it's probably Nolan. But yeah, the film, World War II, and it's about J. Robert Oppenheimer, who is the guy, key figure in the Manhattan Project, called the father of the atomic bomb.
Yeah.
Does that do anything for you?
Nolan, big. Atomic bombs, big. Atomic explosions, even bigger.
Cillian Murphy apparently tipped to play Oppenheimer, who's worked with quite a few times before.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what Oppenheimer looks like. I don't think I've ever seen him depicted.
No. I imagine he looks like a giant A-bomb.
Yeah, but the fact that it's historical,
Yeah, great.
I'm interested more in Nolan telling a story that doesn't have the weight of re-explaining to me a new concept of time and space.
Well, that's why I didn't like Tenet that much, because he was trying to construct something new out of a really difficult, not thermodynamic, what's it, quantum physics theory. I'm like, no, like Dunkirk. Dunkirk is one of his best because it's like grounded in a factual reality.
Even Dunkirk is told in 3 points in time in three different time spans, and it's like you kind of understand it as it unfolds.
We should say for the record that what article is that from?
It's a mixture of Hollywood Reporter and IGN. I think the Hollywood Reporter were the ones who reported on that.
Well, okay, so he's gone to Universal and he's going to be making a $100 million movie about...
a budget.
A $100 million. About...
Apple apparently couldn't meet his demands either.
Because they were like,
Control.
Okay, it's going to be set in the 40s, but he has to use an iPhone. No.
And he discovers the atomic bomb on his new iPad. It just works.
I can imagine also Nolan on the calls just sort of saying, no, we actually think the theatrical window should be shorter and less
That was great.
No, it's
Sort
not.
of
I know.
sort of
I was going
bucolic.
nowhere with that.
I hope, because I think Nolan does have an ability to tell a really heartfelt, compelling narrative that doesn't have to reinvent physics as we know it. And I mean, who knows? He could be doing something completely different. We don't even know. I don't even know if it's like 100% confirmed. But I'm interested to see him do something.
Yeah.
I don't want to say like smaller scale because atomic bomb sounds big, but smaller scale on paper.
Yeah. Let's you know what? Good luck to him on this little indie film. When's that coming out? Anticipated.
I didn't. Again, he didn't text me back. So.
Yeah.
The last thing on there was that Matrix trailer.
Oh yeah, the Matrix trailer.
What did you think of it?
Look, Matrix 1.
Obviously.
The Matrix. Great. Love that.
The
Wonderful.
only Matrix.
The other two Matrices.
Matrices?
The Matri. The other Matri. The Matrices.
Matrices.
The other Matrices, the second, third one, is a bit like when you like go to like a massive exhibition. You've seen the main event, and they're like, you can go out there, that's the exit there. Yeah. If you have time, you can also walk around these two other bits. And that's what watching The Matrix is like. So you've watched the main film.
If you're really interested,
if you've got time and no brain cells, you can enjoy walking around the other two bits.
It's like the old Star Wars books from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, sure. It's there if you want them. They're cosmetic. They're just there.
It had an interesting look to it.
Yeah, I think this could go either way because it looks very CGI and like Neo's looks like very superhero-y.
Yeah,
you know,
very John Wick and
you're thinking, well, the Matrix is all about the hand-to-hand fights. I mean, obviously there was CGI, and we know the bullet time and thing,
but it always had a very grainy, tactile feel to it, even though it was set in a digital space.
Because you had to believe that the people in that world believed in that world, that it was reality. The greenish concrete.
And it felt like if you zoomed into it, it would be pixels.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Especially in the Matrix, obviously. It felt like it
lower
was,
than
and then the
DPI.
real world was gritty, dusty, dirty, grimy, slime.
But this is really fresh. But I'm thinking, okay, so what are they doing here? Are they trying to say that whole first series of films was its own simulation? That's what I'm thinking. He's woken up now, now he's in the real world.
But then at the end of 3, the world, they rebuilt the Matrix.
No, but that's going to be that's all a simulation. Even the real world within the original Matrix is going to be a simulation. And now he's going to be awake in our world. And he's going to be like, oh, I had this weird dream about the Matrix where I was fighting for the revolution. And then it's going to be, that was a simulation. And then he's going to realize, no, he's in another level of the simulation. That's what I think that's what they're going to go with there. Honestly, looking at that trailer, I was like, that's what they're going with this. They're saying there's layers upon layers. And what about the fact that Morpheus is in it, but recast?
I can't even, again, it could be a different dimension. I thought it was interesting that they were sort of having a go at people living through their phones, like living in fake worlds. Because I think what's great about Matrix 1 is it only became more relevant as the years went by. We've become more digital. We've become more lost in. And I don't think they ever captured what social media was or it didn't really exist in 1999, but no, obviously not.
Do you remember dial-up?
Yeah. Bebo.
Yeah.
I think the fact that it leads into that and the Matrix is more relevant is really exciting. But I hope it's good. I looked at some of it. I was like, this doesn't look like the Matrix really. But it's got the characters I like in it. Yeah. I hope that's a distinctive choice to make it look different.
You know what it is?
Maybe they can't make it
It's
look
really on the wire. Because some of it looks quite generic, but some of it looks very Matrixy.
Cheap.
They could, if they got this right, everything you said about technology and the how present technology is in our lives, they could get it. If they could get it right, it'd be so good. I would be like, oh, that's so brilliant. Of course we need the Matrix right now. We need the Matrix right now. Or they'll get it so wrong and we'll be like, these films are 20 years ago, stop. We don't need to see these old guys. Because conversely, I saw a trailer the other day for Morbius.
Yeah, with Jared Leto.
Yeah, but this trailer came out in January 2020.
Yeah.
I didn't see it at the time. I'd heard they were making a film about Jared Leto being a vampire. I didn't realize they made it.
And it's a very dark film. So you're like, what am I seeing? It's the very dark trailer.
And that's coming out in January, and it doesn't look very good, which usually means if it's coming out in January, big stinker. That's the dumping ground. Yeah. I think about it. And
unless it's an Oscar nominee.
No. Jared Leto in Morbius.
Isn't it weird how shows, especially I feel like the Disney Plus shows, can just kind of exist and you watch them anyway? Like there's so much comfort food on there. I just like the Marvel Star Wars thing. But I find myself on a hangover leaning towards Disney Plus for the easy comfort view.
I think.
Because there's nothing that intense.
I think the tide is turning.
You think so? what, for Disney Plus to take over
Just speaking
Netflix?
to people recently, they've just been like, yeah, actually, I haven't watched anything on Netflix in a while, but I'm watching
taken
those on Disney Plus.
It's definitely a chunk of that market share has gone allocated. I think Apple is not competing with Netflix. I think they're competing with HBO.
Right.
They are going for, this is premium content.
Right.
This is, you pay a monthly fee for the best TV shows. I think that they're going after HBO. Netflix and Disney Plus are definitely definitely competing with each
What
other.
about Prime?
Prime
is always going to be okay because it's like subsidized by the whole machinery of Amazon. Like,
I think until Prime really completely redoes its UI and makes a new
The carousel,
website that's just separate from. I don't have to go on through Amazon to try and find. I know you can save a link on Prime Video, but there's nothing inviting about searching for content on Amazon Prime. I'm always trying to find, unless it's just come out and they're promoting it, like when Clarkson's Farm came out, it was on a banner. But trying to find content on Amazon Prime is
really
just
hard.
really bad.
what annoys me is actually
they're Amazon.
Yeah, and it's at their disservice. There have been so many times when I've been bored and scrolling through, and I've eventually found loads of great stuff, and I'm like, why the fuck are you not promoting this stuff?
And you'd think Amazon Prime, who have literally finessed to the finest detail shopping online and directing attention and finding what you want, you'd think they'd have gone, well, surely we just apply that to our TV. No. There's some really great stuff on Amazon Prime, but I'm never I'll have to be a show that brings me there, not what am I wanting to watch like you would flick through on Netflix or the others.
All right, last one to finish up. Ready?
Yeah.
Big Little Lies version. We're going to do Reese Witherspoon, Nicole Kidman, Laura Dern.
Ooh, okay. Reese Witherspoon, Nicole Kidman, Laura Dern. I think I would put, even though she's not as much of a bankable star, I think I'd be tempted to put Laura Dern in my movie. I think I would bring Reese Witherspoon home for Christmas, and I would go for dinner with the incredibly glamorous and probably brilliant Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
I
would actually flip it. I would have definitely Reese Witherspoon home for Christmas.
Yeah.
Great, she can talk about books. She loves all that stuff. Sorry, what a put down. Oh. But I think I'd actually have I think I'd put Nicole Kidman in my film because she's more bankable star.
I think she'd be good.
And Laura Dern, I think, has had a slight, because she's been in lots of supporting roles and she's worked with directors like David Lynch and she's won that Oscar. I think I'd be interested in talking to her.
What was your plan in The Last Jedi? What were your character's intentions? I thought you were evil at one point, but you're not.
So that's what I'd go for.
When they said purple hair, did you give them a bit of
I just went with it. I just went with it. So this is our first time tonight doing a little episode. So I was thinking, we're sitting down and having some food, and it really got me thinking about, like you said earlier, about who would be a great interview, who would be good to have dinner with. I've got my own version, my own film version of Shag, Marry, Kill.
Yeah.
But it's very specific. Here are the rules of the game. You have I'm going to name 3 actors for you, okay? You either have to cast them in your film, okay? You've got the budget you want, you've got the scripts you want, everything's going ahead. The studio's saying, James, we want you to make this film.
And I'm happy with my movie.
You're happy with it, you're ready, but you have to cast this person in the lead role, okay?
Okay.
Second one is you have to go for dinner with this person.
Lovely.
You just go for dinner, that's it, it's fine. So it doesn't necessarily, no connotations, you just go for dinner.
Yeah.
3 course. Anyway, the final one is that you have to take this person back home with you for Christmas with the family.
Yeah.
This person has to stay at your house with your family.
3 nights,
go
maybe.
through the whole, a week.
A week, wow, okay.
Full extended family coming over.
Like 22nd to New Year's.
Yeah,
or
the full course, okay?
It's topping and tailing in your bedroom from home.
Okay, so let's start with the Jeffs.
Oh, Jeff. Okay, Jeff.
So, Jeff Bridges.
Okay.
Jeff Daniels.
Okay.
Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, okay. So many different Jeffs. Okay. Wow. Right. Ooh, okay. So you've got to go for dinner with Jeff Goldblum, I think. Because he is one of those guys that A, I think has a load of really cool stories. B, I think would be quite good to just sit back and listen to Jeff Goldblum talk. And I can just imagine that he's got good knowledge of wine, is going to have the food can we order a few more of those?
I love your waitress. You're so charming. And let's get some hors d'oeuvres.
Should we get some more of them? I think I'd take Jeff Goldblum for dinner.
Yeah.
And then I've got Jeff Bridges and then Jeff Daniels. I think you cast Jeff Bridges in your movie.
Yeah.
And I think you take Jeff Daniels home for Christmas.
You know what? I totally agree. For slightly different reasons. I think I'd have dinner with Goldblum because he's interesting enough to go for dinner. And you're right, the whole spectacle is great.
You wouldn't get bored ever.
But I couldn't have him for Christmas with my family. He's too aloof, too
quirky,
esoteric,
yeah.
too much
In
chaos.
England as well.
Too much chaos.
He'll bring something really weird. I brought.
No, that's Adam Driver. I invited Jeff. Why are you here?
Yeah.
But similarly, though, with Jeff Bridges.
I have a pickle with your son. I heard he slagged me off.
Wow, these turkey, it's lovely.
Adam, come here.
Jeff Goldblum would love Christmas. He'd turn up with the big jumper on, with the
Really
big glass, and be like,
jumper, yeah.
I'm ready to Christmas this up.
Yeah.
I think Jeff Bridges like had a great career and stuff. I couldn't imagine being there for Christmas. I could too often look over and see him talking to a relative and being like, so cast him in the film because he's bankable, he's good,
great.
he does his thing.
Interesting.
Jeff Daniels, a great actor. I really love Jeff
really
Daniels as
good.
an actor.
Great in Steve Jobs.
Great. He's just so good. And I think, you know what? I'll take him over Christmas because I think he could be quite peaceful, actually. I'm sure he could just sit I can imagine him sitting on the sofa, talking to some people. Easy energy.
And I think he's got a good sense of humor for when there's good, funny chat around. Jeff Daniels is going to be able to keep up with the rest of them.
Right. Next one.
Love that. I love the Jeffs.
All right.
Are the rest of them organised by name?
Some of them are.
Oh,
and some of them are not.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do another name one.
Mm-hmm.
The Chris's.
Chris's, yeah.
Except Pratt, not Pratt. He's not on here. Because I only have three seats, and Chris Pratt wasn't invited.
Yeah, of course.
Chris Evans,
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth, Chris Pine.
I'm going to cast Chris Evans in my movie.
Got it.
Because I think Chris Evans is incredibly underrated, and I think he's really good. And I would love to see him be in my movie, which is apparently a really deep drama.
Yeah.
No, I'd love to see. I'd like to see Chris Evans do more. I'm sure he's fine for dinner and fine. I actually think he'd be great with the mums, Chris Evans. But no, I think I'd like to cast him in my movie because I believe in him. And I think I'd give him a chance. And then that leaves me with Hemsworth and Pine.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Pine to dinner because he's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I can pretend to be Wonder Woman for that evening. And I think
Hello, Chris.
Yeah, hello.
Steve.
Yeah. I think Chris under a candlelit dinner, Pine, I can't say Chris, Pine under
His
a candlelit
eyes.
dinner would be quite beautiful. I think it'd be romantic. And then
Hemsworth at Christmas.
Hemsworth at Christmas,
It'd
he'd
be
be
great
great.
fun.
Who doesn't love Hemsworth?
I've got your kids. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
bloody
you'd be
great.
playing, you'd be
Yeah,
hanging stuff up,
yeah.
like taking stuff out of the oven.
Yeah,
like,
he'd be doing it. Yeah, he'd be loving it. He'd
Yeah.
be great. I totally agree. Yeah,
I think I'd do
Hemsworth,
that.
fun Christmas. Dinner with Chris Pine.
Nothing against the acting chops of Hemsworth or Pine, but I actually just immediately went, yeah, I want Evans in my movie.
Evans is probably the strongest leading man, a classically looking leading man. He's like an American James Bond.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Let's do some Jennifers.
Oh, Jennifer's, yeah. Loads
Jennifer
of those.
Lawrence.
Okay.
Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah.
Jennifer Garner.
Ooh, okay, right. Just to be interesting, I'm going to put Lopez in my movie because, I think she's underrated, and I'm going to have a movie with Jennifer Lopez in it. She's great in Made in Manhattan with Ray Fiennes, and she's good in the stripper film. What was that called?
Brilliant. Well done, James.
Yeah, I can't
Be
remember.
more of a man.
It was like Hustlers or something?
It was called Hustlers.
Hustlers.
Yeah. Have you never seen Out of Sight?
No.
Oh, Out of Sight is a great film. It's a Steven
Yeah.
Soderbergh film. He made it just before
With Jennifer Lopez.
Jennifer Lopez and George Clooney.
Okay.
Oh, mate, so
Should I
good.
watch it? When did it come out?
1998.
Oh, okay.
He
While
made it
ago.
before, it might be 97 actually. He made it before Ocean's 11, but it's got the
Okay.
same kind of panache.
Yeah.
Steven Soderbergh. And George Clooney plays a felon, a criminal. And Jennifer Lopez is a FBI agent, and they are cat and mouse, but they also have a really strong sexual
course they do.
tension.
Of course they
but
do.
it works. It works. Out of Sight is one of the few films you watch and you're like, this is genuinely sexy. This
Yeah.
is genuinely exuding, not in a sleazy way, not in a leery way, but oh, this sexual tension between these two characters is fucking there.
Wow.
And
98, okay.
yeah, Out of Sight, really good
Out
film.
of Sight,
So I
great.
agree. Okay, so you put Jennifer Lopez in your film.
I put
Great,
Lopez
okay.
in my film, even though I think in a lot of ways Lawrence is an incredibly bankable star. I know she's had some time off. I actually think, I know she just had time off, but just towards the end when she was doing Passengers, I got a bit sick of seeing her in everything because she was doing X-Men, Hunger Games, just all of them. She was a bit everywhere. Even though I thought she was good in it, I was a bit, I'm done with this. I'm glad she's taken some time off. I would take Garner home for Christmas. She's the kind of person you
Lovely,
want to bring
yeah.
home to show your mum. She's very girl next door. I think she'd be incredibly polite and respectful.
Yeah. I've seen interviews with her and she always seems really lovely.
She seems like a really
They all
lovely
seem
woman.
nice, just for the record.
They're all lovely. I'd be happy. I'd be. Who am I to say no to any of those?
Yeah,
Jennifers?
they're all welcome.
Yeah.
If they want to come.
They could all come. I'll ask Lawrence at dinner if she wants to come. And yeah, I'd go for dinner with Lawrence because I'm only human, and I think it would be.
I think she does some really interesting stories.
some really interesting stories.
And I want to hear about her career.
She's worked on some really big projects.
Yeah.
It would just be cool to hear about what that's like.
Also, she'd be a laugh. We
And
know she'd be a laugh.
She's good crack. She's good crack. She'd be good laugh.
Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson.
Wow. Okay.
So I'll tell you what I would do.
Yeah. Go on. What would you do?
Cast Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah,
because
I
he's the
think
biggest
same.
name. I like him. I'd happily have him for dinner and
Good
go for
actor.
Christmas with him. But if you need to launch this film, he needs to be in it. Rupert Grint, go for dinner because he hasn't had the most successful career out of the others. But I bet he's got loads. Over the course of a dinner, I could have plenty of interesting conversation with him. He's got loads of stories to tell. Great, that's fine.
Probably just quite
And
chill
then
out. He's a
Emma
good
Watson,
guy.
of course you want to bring Emma Watson home to your family.
Yeah.
Like how great she is. She's talking at the UN. She's doing all these things. She's great, and she has acting stories in the
Grandma,
background.
meet Emma Watson.
Emma Watson. Even if she's swung in just for an afternoon,
Yeah.
she's welcome. So
Yeah, I think I would do the same. I think Daniel Radcliffe's good. He always does interesting projects. My project is, of course, really interesting
of course,
that I'm doing.
Is it about Oppenheimer?
It's about J. Robert Oppenheimer. I think at the same time I'd be tempted to take Daniel Radcliffe for dinner.
Oh yeah.
I think if I was to switch him
So
around,
you'd cast Rupert Grint in your major movie. Maybe you're going to relaunch his career.
maybe I could.
Not that he needs a career
Not that he needs a career
relaunching,
relaunching, but like
sorry.
what's he been in? Yeah, I think Daniel Radcliffe would also be an interesting one to have for dinner, but I don't think Daniel Radcliffe would necessarily want to go for dinner with me. Not that I think Jennifer Lawrence does. Any of the other people I've mentioned
But in this
do.
instance, they all do. In this
Yeah.
instance, they've got a free and they go to a nice. It's just happening for you.
This is nice because it's such a will never happen in a million year scenario,
Yeah.
but it's just lovely to be
There
like,
is more
what
chance,
if I
James,
did?
of you making $100 million movie than there is of you going for dinner with Jennifer Lawrence. Okay, I'm sorry to say.
This
it.
time next year,
Yeah.
I'm going to send you a selfie of me and J-Law at dinner. I've made it.